Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling. We are here with our TNA 2007 playthrough. My name is BrendenPlayz. Well, we are coming off our recent Lockdown 2007 pay-per-view, 88 rated show. Yeah, not as good as we were hoping for. Obviously, Lockdown being one of our biggest shows, we really wanted to step it up and have something special, but we could only manage 37,000 attendance, which is great attendance. 0.54 on pay-per-view, which is very good as well, but only the 0.88 rating. So, really the letdown was Muhammad Hassan and Jeff Hardy. Didn't quite deliver on the level that we were hoping for, but with that being said, the rest of the show was pretty good. We had some big matches. Joe and Rhino, 87 was good. The Lethal Lockdown match was 85, much better than I probably thought. We had a 99 rated match between Jericho and Christian and the Dudleys, Team 3D, which I think was the match of the night, one of our best matches we've had in history. So let's have a quick look at our best matches in history. And you look at our best matches, we've had 3 99 rated matches. We've yet to have 100 rated, but you've had Muhammad Hassan beating Fallen Angel, which is still considered to be our best match. That was Against All Odds. Jeff Jarrett beating Fallen Angel, so notice our Angels in 2 of these, 99, and obviously the tag match we just had then. And we've had 2 more 98s, Joe and Jeff Hardy, so that's why we kind of thought Jeff Hardy was capable of producing some big matches. He's had a good one there, Abyss and Angel, 98, so, and then of course we had Jeff Hardy, Muhammad Hassan a little bit further down, 97. So we've seen these two guys have a great match before, but they just didn't quite deliver on the pay-per-view. But yeah, so we are in a good spot. We are doing well. Our shows are still going solid. Our growth is really, really good. As you can see, up to 78 pop in most regions. We're really doing well. We are. We haven't got an international presence, as you can see, grey in a lot of areas, which sucks. It really does suck. I wish we did. We just can't get there yet. It's going to take some time before we really get there. But this week, we need to establish some new feuds, some new storylines. We're going to do that. So, the Global Championship, Matt Morgan still is the champion, defended against R-Truth. So what we might do is a battle royal to decide who's going to be the next man to take on Matt Morgan for that championship. We've got a list of names of our mid-carders to put in that match. Who's going to win that? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we give it to Nakamura, but I don't know if that's too soon for him to put him in that scenario, because obviously we'd like him to win the championship. So I actually originally cancelled this feud, Abyss and Goldberg. I actually cancelled it and thought, no, I won't do any more with it. But I figure we've only had one-on-one matchup between these two, I think. So I feel like there's still a little bit more we can do with it. We can have another match, one-on-one, and kind of close out the feud there. What do we do with both these guys for Slammiversary? I really have no idea. I don't know. That's the problem. Obviously, we have a King of the Mountain match we need to do, so maybe we put them in that. But at the moment, I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do with that. Now, the big thing we're planning this upcoming pay-per-view is the Super X Cup. So, last year around about this time, we did the Super X Cup. It was won by Homicide. So, currently in April, Sacrifice will be in May. So, same time as last year. So the Super X Cup, Chris Sabin won it the first time, Joe second time, and Homicide the third time. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but I feel like it is. Hope so. So Homicide won it last year. Basically, the winner of the Cup gets a championship match at Slammiversary for the X Division. And these are the guys we got planned for the Super X Cup this year. So we've got Chavo Guerrero and Austin Aries. That'll be our first matchup. And we've got Paul London and Low Key, who's had a little bit of a mini feud as of late. AJ Styles, he'll be in it. Made the decision to put him in there. I think we may as well have some of our bigger names jump in there. And AJ Styles, we haven't got anything else planned for him to do with his Jeff Jarrett feud now over. And Homicide, last year's winner, will be up against Kazarian. So, yeah, pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I feel like there's some good matchups there. You know, a couple of feuds also combining as well. So it should be a good cup. Let's hope so. So that is your 8-man that'll be in the championship tournament, with obviously the winner getting an opportunity to take on our current champion, Alex Shelley, at the upcoming Slammiversary pay-per-view. So the winner will be decided at Sacrifice. So taking a quick look at our X Division, Shelley, he's had 10 championship defenses. He's held it since November, week 2. So he's had a pretty good reign, to be honest. He's done very, very well. 10 championship defenses. You can see his championship ratings, 94, 83, 91, 89, 85, 77, 85, 90, 80, 85. So majority of it around the mid-80s if you average that out. So he's done very, very well with the championship. But historically, the X Division has had some very good title matches. So he's been able to continue the trend of having good championship matches there. And obviously his popularity has surged through the roof as well. The other big thing is the World Tag Champs, Jericho and Christian. Now, they've had the one championship defense. They've managed to defeat Team 3D in a steel cage match at Lockdown. 99 rate, as we saw. Their ladder match was 97. So they're having terrific matches. But the dissension between these two needs to start beginning. And obviously building towards a Slammiversary match. Now, it is a bit of a rushed feud. You could say, why don't you hold out until Bound for Glory? That's because maybe we might have Jericho win the Bound for Glory series. I'm still up in the air about that, but he's one of the candidates, obviously on the short list, to potentially win it. So we have to decide if we're going to pull the trigger on that and maybe go with Jericho as our top guy, as our champion for a period of time. So he's on the short list there, and I don't know what the plan will be, if he's going to win it or not. So just in case, we're going to do this feud and probably have both guys be in the Bound for Glory series and really make that series epic. So yeah, so probably we'll have the feud at Slammiversary, with a matchup, and then maybe do a little bit more with it later on in the Bound for Glory series. And if there's still enough there, you could always have a rematch at Bound for Glory if you wanted to as well. Depends how well the match goes. If it gets 100 rated, you probably wouldn't mind doing it again at the pay-per-view. So that's that. So some other things we've got going on. We're going to pick up the Dutch Dynasty in a Hassan. Well, actually, I was going to. I mean, we still could. I put Test and Kevin Thorne in this Battle Royal, but obviously that Battle Royal will take place this week or next week. Obviously, the tag feud. We've got the women's feud still going. Now, Lita will be able to debut within the next week, but I feel like we might hold out on Lita for a little bit and maybe have her make her in-ring debut or actual debut at Slammiversary and build her up until the Bound for Glory pay-per-view and maybe give her the belt then. I might do another match between Jeff Hardy and Muhammad Hassan. I feel like there's still a little bit more you can do with that. And that way we get a little bit more out of this feud and we don't have to try something new just before Slammiversary. Molly Holly, Sarah Del Rey, it's probably done, but we might just do another one on Explosion or whatever. And then obviously Low Key in London. They're currently in the Super X Cup, but we still had this rivalry here, so I might just keep it going and see if that maybe will help out a little bit with some of the match ratings. The heat is amazing to 68, so we'll test it out, see how it goes, but yeah, it's still going and it's there. But I feel like we might need a little bit more. I feel like we need something building towards Slammiversary. So here's what I want you guys to kind of help me out. What matches would you like to see? What would you like to see at Slammiversary? Keeping in mind, we've got Scott Steiner, who hasn't done a lot at all lately. We've got Sting, we've got Jeff Jarrett, Goldberg, Abyss, Fallen Angel, possibly AJ Styles if he doesn't win the Super X Cup, A-Train. These are top guys. All those names that are read out won't be really involved in anything. Jeff Hardy probably won't be involved in anything either. So there's a lot of names that won't be doing much. Now, with the King of the Mountain match, I think there's 5 guys in that, so that will sort a little bit of that out. Now, I don't think we have to have the title on line in that one, so we could potentially have 5 guys in that match and then have a title match on the side as well. So it'll be a question of who do we give that opportunity to take on Muhammad Hassan. Maybe you do give it to a Goldberg and go with that match at Slammiversary, which was a potential one we were thinking about doing for Bound for Glory. But if Goldberg beats Abyss at the next pay-per-view, you could go with him and have him take on Muhammad Hassan at Slammiversary. He hasn't lost a match yet since coming back. He went, a count out against Abyss at Destination X. So that's why there's still a little bit there in this feud. You can still go with another singles match. I shouldn't have ended it. It had, I think, like 93 heat or something like that. So I kind of messed up ending that there. But I thought I was done with it. But we'll still go with it. So, do you give Goldberg that title shot and potentially have Muhammad Hassan beat Goldberg, ending that little bit of a winning streak, and have Hassan get maybe the biggest win in his career so far? It would be a good idea, I think, but it's just a matter of, do you want to have that happen to Goldberg, or should he keep on winning, maybe save that for down the line? Because I don't think Goldberg will be in the Bound for Glory series. I mean, Goldberg is, you know, a bit of a part-time type of guy, so giving him, you know, a full-time run, he's only ever competed on pay-per-views, so putting him in the Bound for Glory series and seeing him a lot would probably take away that specialness about him. So I don't know if he'll be in that, so maybe this might be the only chance he gets for a title shot for a while, unless you wanted to have him fill up that 3-month period, a bit like Scott Steiner did last year with Christian, and have him be in that little period between Slammiversary. So these 3 months here, before Bound for Glory, maybe Goldberg can compete against, 3 months. So Goldberg could compete against Muhammad Hassan there if you wanted to. But I think Goldberg and Hassan for Slammiversary would be good. I don't know about the quality of the match. That's my only concern. Goldberg's quality, he's averaging 82, but he struggles to go long distances, and I don't know if Hassan could carry him to a great match. So that's the only thing. Would you put it as the main event? I probably wouldn't. You probably would go with Christian and Jericho, quite honestly, as the main event if you were going to do Goldberg and Hassan, which sucks because you want the title main eventing, but I just don't think that's there. I just feel like that would be a poor idea. But with that being said, we've pretty much covered everything. Obviously, new storylines happening. We're doing quite well, obviously, with our ratings and things like that, and we are covering most things. Just a quick look at our owner goals. So one thing that's ending, you cannot hire or extend the contract of anybody who's known to have problems with the law. That's ending in 13 days. TNA must not fall below cult size. That won't happen. Our financial balance needs to improve to at least 3.2 mil. We've got that. I think we have 8 million. Christian must be kept above 71 pop. I think we could do that. I think he's like 88. And you can't hire any wrestler over the age of 45. That's still in play. That's a bit of a big one, because there's been a few guys we wouldn't mind bringing in for short-term appearances who are 45 plus, but obviously we can't. Alright, with that being said, let's move along to our Impact show, and we start getting ready for this Super X Cup, and perhaps this Battle Royal we might announce the people in it. Matt Morgan was being obnoxious and eventually beat up Austin Aries. So that's a pretty unfair fight. You got Matt Morgan, who's a giant. Aries is very small. It'd be almost like a man beating up a kid. That's not ideal. We'll have to give him a fine. He's happy with the action, so maybe that might improve him. Leader's not available. Jim Cornette's not available tonight. That's interesting. And Lashley's not available. So, yeah. But let's have a look at our medical. Looks like James Storm is back. I think that's what happened before. So James Storm physically is okay. I think he was the one who was injured. So James Storm is back, and that means we can now do perhaps a triple threat tag match at the pay-per-view and have Christian and Jericho not take the pin, but maybe create some dissension there. We'll book Impact, and we'll show you the results in a moment's time, including some of these Super X Cup matchups. So Impact this week, we had the show begin with Christian and Chris Jericho out there, only to get interrupted by Chris Harris and James Storm making their return. They ended up having a bit of a brawl to open up the show, 100 rated, so good start. And a good way to reintroduce those characters back into the show. It's been a while. Austin Aries and Chavo in the Super X Cup. We saw Aries beat Chavo. Chavo beat Aries, rather. Aries did have the better performance, though, 81. Chavo just 68. But, so Chavo gets the victory. He advances. And I think that was the only Super X Cup match we did on this show this week. We'll do more for next week. Might even have one on Explosion, maybe, as well. Best promo, 89. So beginning the feud again with Goldberg, since we stupidly ended it. Bobby Roode and Rikishi, just to give Roode a win. 84 by Roode, that's pretty good. And afterwards you had Roode cut a promo on Matt Morgan. That kind of kicks off the global title situation as well. And then we had Alyssa Flash versus Shelly Martinez. Alyssa Flash got the victory there. Alyssa 73, Martinez just 44. 72 for Gail Kim's promo. She cut one on Melina. We had Cesaro and Samoa Joe one-on-one. Just a quick 15-minute match. Cesaro 81, Joe 90. Overall, a 90 rated match. I tell you what, if we can get Cesaro and Chris Hero for that matter, we can get them more popularity, get them to 70. I tell you what, we've got a really great team of Mayhounds. These two guys, singles or as a team, will have some killer matches. Looking forward to it. Hassan and Jeff Hardy. So Hassan coming out bragging that he won at Lockdown, but Jeff Hardy came out not happy at all and confronted him there, 99. Now main event, wow, I thought this might be better. So we put Team 3D against America's Most Wanted, 86 match. Brother Ray 88, Devon 92, Harris 88, Storm 86. Okay, maybe got nearly about what it deserved, maybe 88, 89. So I figured let's do this match. America's Most Wanted is back. We gave America's Most Wanted the victory in their return. We put Jericho on commentary, watching on. So to make America's Most Wanted look good and get them ready for perhaps a triple threat tag match, or maybe even just a straight up Most Wanted versus Christian matchup. And afterwards we had the Dudleys get their revenge, though. They may have lost because of, I think, it was a flash pinfall, so it was a lucky win in a way. Then the Dudleys got some revenge by putting America's Most Wanted through a table, like the Dudleys only can do. 90 overall show. Very good. Very, very good. Even with a weakish, I wouldn't say weak, but 86 is good, but not our best match on the show. That's the only issue, but still overall some good angles put the show over to a 90, and you can never complain about a 90, especially for Impact. For pay-per-view you might be saying, well, that's good but not excellent, but 90 for an Impact is always good, and I'll always take 90 guaranteed. So Rikishi has got a bad schedule, he needs some more time to heal. How's Rikishi going? We gave him Bobby Roode a victory, hoping to get him his popularity up a bit more. Aries is a natural talker, so Christian's a fan of Austin Aries. So Bobby Roode up to about 65, 66. I mean, I'm a big fan of Bobby Roode. I would love to get him in that main event. It's just so hard to break him through at the moment. It's very difficult to get from 60 to 70. But once you're 70 plus, as we've seen with Alex Shelley, Fallen Angel, AJ Styles, the list goes on and on. Once you make it to 70, you've got really no issues in getting to 80. And then once you get to 80, it's all fine from there. You can, the sky's the limit. Just that 55 to 70 bracket is so difficult, and Roode has been stuck there for over a year now. If it started around about 55-ish, he's got to 65 now, he's grinded his way there, he's getting more popular, but we just can't quite seem to break him through yet. Not yet. Maybe soon, but not yet. Chris Harris up to 73. What was he before? 71, 72, so bumps up a little bit with the victory over the Dudleys, who I don't think really dropped. Still 76. What were they before? Yeah, 76. So no real drop for them. So we gained Harris a point. James Storm looks as though he probably did the same, up to 73 as well. Yeah, so we gained America's Most Wanted a point. The Dudleys pretty much stay the same. And yeah, so America's Most Wanted jump up a little bit more. And to be honest, I think looking at Sacrifice, we are going to do a triple threat tag. I think it's probably most likely that America's Most Wanted may get the championships back. They've held the titles already 7 times. They'd become 8-time tag champs. Would be excellent. I mean, amazing, really. But they haven't held the belts since June, so it's almost a year ago since they lost the belts. So I think that's kind of long enough. So I think it might be time to give them the championships back, and that way you can open up again. We've done the feud before, but you may as well go for it again. It would open up the Dudleys and America's Most Wanted again, and then if America's Most Wanted won there, you can maybe move them on to a Cesaro, who's up to 58 popularity, and Chris Hero, for some reason, has a lot more, 63. I'm not sure why he's got so much more than Cesaro, but he does, so good for him. Has he had any major wins? I mean, has he beaten anyone? Not really. I mean, he's had some good matches with Jeff Jarrett, and I mean, he's the only guy who's beaten this Vegeta, but that was in Japan. So, yeah, not really. I'm just not sure why, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain. And I'm just checking elsewhere, not so much there. So, it's quite possible that James Storm and Chris Harris could have also gone up in popularity from the opening segment with Christian and Jarek, which is also why it's so good at times. If you're ever playing TW, don't be afraid to put some of your main event guys in the tag division, because at the end of the day, they can certainly elevate your other teams, no doubt. We've got some great teams here. Obviously, America's Most Wanted is great, but sometimes the guys would have some really solid popularity, can really help elevate some of your teams. So don't be afraid to do that and give them a run with the belts like I did for a little bit, and then they can drop it and then go and do their singles thing again. That's okay, but it will rub off and it will help them out in the end, because sometimes these tag guys can't quite get those major segments, those 100 rated segments. They might be able to get 85 or 90, which is good, but if you get around that 100 mark, that's when they really start to gain popularity. So that's why I think it's also really good to integrate some of your main event guys that aren't doing a lot and put them in the tag division. Absolutely. I guess it kind of gives me the thought of maybe pairing up, you know, a legendary team of maybe Sting and Scott Steiner at some point. That could be an alright team. Something for both guys to do. Might perform better as a tag team in comparison to their singles. So if you got guys that aren't doing much, tag division is normally the best way to do it, because you can always get matches for them. They've always, you know, there's always teams to face. There's always matchups to do in a tag division. So there's always more opportunities, whereas only normally one guy is getting a chance at the world title belt. So something to think about anyways. But we'll book our upcoming Explosion. We'll show the results for that one real quick, and then we'll see where we're at afterwards. But let's have a quick look at this incident. Shannon Moore. Okay, lifting the spirits. Speaking of Shannon Moore, I mean, I think I did give him another contract, another 6-month deal, but I don't know, man. Like, he's got to improve. I'm just not that satisfied with his efforts. His performances are getting better. He's getting better in the ring. Like, his, you know, basics is good, psychology's going up, but I don't know. He's still got good popularity somehow. We haven't actually ended up burying him or anything like that. He's actually gained popularity in comparison, which is quite incredible considering really how many wins has he had. Well, he hasn't won a match all year in TNA, and then he's won 8 and lost 10, so he had a bit of a better year last year. 8 wins, 4 losses, so we actually, I think, gave him a bit of a push towards the end of the year, but other than that, not a lot. So there you go. But yeah, I'm just not sure what to do with Shannon Moore at this point. He's certainly giving him a lower mid-carder push. He's certainly a mid-carder. He's not a lower mid-carder. It's a bit unfair. But we'll book our Explosion, including a Super X Cup match as well. So Explosion, we started off with Low Key and Paul London going back and forth on the mic. We moved along to Jay Lethal and Monty Brown. Jay Lethal 79, Monty Brown 83. They had pretty good chemistry. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking me to do more with Jay Lethal. I have to agree. Maybe we go with the Black Machismo gimmick that he had, or something different. I don't know, but might be time to start giving Jay Lethal a bit of a push. I know he's really far down the card. It's so difficult to elevate him, but maybe a couple of victories over a veteran just to bump up his popularity a little bit would certainly go a long way for him. AJ promo on Alex Shelley. Molly Holly and Sarah Del Rey. Pretty much wrapping up that feud with Molly Holly with a victory. 68 from Holly, which is good. 84 for Team 3D and America's Most Wanted, brawling with each other, so continuing on from Impact, brawling along there backstage. And then London and Low Key main event, 79. London 84, Low Key 84, just the 79 overall match. Low Key penalised for holding back a little bit, poor announcing, few little different things. But yeah, there you go, 79. So Low Key wins, and he advances to take on Chavo in the Super X Cup. So then we'll have the other portion of the cup later on as well. So we didn't have enough attractive women on the show. I thought we had 2. I did scrap. I was going to do Melina and Awesome Kong, but I did end up scrapping that, so that's probably where I went wrong there. That's okay. Let's take a look at the results. Any news? So Alexis Laurie, and it's Mickie James. Don't need to worry about her. Mick Foley's now flabby, and he's working in AAA as an authority figure. I tell you what, it would be nice to hire Mick Foley, but I don't. I think he's got a bit of a long-term deal. I might have to check that one out, how long his deal is with AAA. Just working as a commentator, that's kind of a bit lame, Mick. What are you doing? Surely you could do something a bit more interesting than that. Actually, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. Actually, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Thought I could maybe access it there. Still the wrong thing. Here we go. So Mick Foley has 3 years left on his contract as a commentator. I mean, it's kind of a bit shit, isn't it? So we might lower that to like nearly a year, and then that way like he can wrestle again, because him just working as a commentator in 07, like when he's only 41, it's a bit lame. He could definitely still do it, but well, yeah, we'll edit that. Obviously it's going to be a long time until we can even think about getting him, but that way he might be able to do something a bit more interesting than just working as a commentator, because that's, like I said, a little bit lame. But anyways, that's pretty much all we have time for this edition of our Total Extreme Wrestling episode of TNA. I'll try and get more out for you guys. I know it's been a little bit slack, but here's a few little things before we go. Jerry Lynn thinks, well, we've got Jerry Lynn as a mid-carder. He wants to be a road agent. He doesn't want to wrestle, so I guess we'll make him whatever he wants to be. Lesnar wins his MMA fight. That's interesting. Did it bump his popularity up? I don't think it really did. No, it's still the same. But he did win his MMA fight, which is pretty big. So, what about his skills? Has his skills improved at all? Yeah, well, he actually has. I mean, he has worked in Japan, hasn't he? I was going to say he hasn't had any matches, but wow, he had a lot of matches last year. He hasn't had any matches this year, but last year he had, well, that's what, nearly 90 matches last year. So he had a lot, absolutely a lot. He was rated 26 overall last year, so he's been busy. Kenta's contract is up. We don't want to let him go. I know we're not doing much with him. I know, but I certainly want to hang on to him. So I'm going to give him another 6 months. We'll reevaluate. If we're not doing much with him in 6 months, we'll do the right thing and let him go. But I hope we can start improving on him. Like, we started giving him a bit of a push. You can see, yeah, his win-loss has been pretty poor. And overall, 10 wins, 24 losses. I just guessed it. It's just because his popularity is so much lower than everyone else's in our tag division and our singles division. So I might try and give him a few more wins. Rebecca Knox, her contract, I'm definitely going to hang on to her. She's done very well for us. So we'll give her another year. She wants a bit more money. Alright, she can have a bit more money. But you don't get your bonus. You want more money, you don't get your bonus. And we missed out on getting Fatu, which is Umaga. Actually, yeah, so Umaga is heading back to WWE. I don't think I really wanted him. And Tank Toland extends his deal, so he's staying with the WWE. So he was part of the Dix tag team. So that's a real shame we missed out on him. I was really, really hoping we could get him. Anyways, that's pretty much all we have time for, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this episode of TNA's Total Extreme Wrestling. More to come, including, obviously, Sacrifice and our Super X Cup finale. And after that, Slammiversary. So I'm looking forward to that one. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.